Patriotism by Reverend WHP Fonce, out of the Book of Patriotism, part of the Young Folks Library, Volume 18. But now, happily, the sounds of war have ceased, and peace spreads her white wings over land and sea. Does our land still need our love? Has the need of brave men vanished? Or is there a peaceful patriotism more needful and more noble than any that days of conflict can know? There are dangers against which every patriot must now be on his guard, and the smallest boy who helps to save his country from those dangers is a patriot indeed. I wish to mention simply two of them tonight. Two dangers against which each one of us can enlist and must enlist if we love our country. The first is the danger of municipal misrule, the danger of misgovernment of our great cities. I congratulate you who are here tonight on living in a great city. It is far easier to be a good man in the heart of a great city than in the half-deserted regions of the country. The most discouraging conditions that I know today are not in New York and Chicago and San Francisco. They are in the region of abandoned farms and little country houses, from which true manhood and energy and ability have long ago been drawn away to the cities, and only the weak and the dull and the vicious are left. It is far easier to be a nobleman in the heart of New York City than in the average village. In New York City, surely God has marked us out for some noble destiny. No city of the world ever had so noble a site as this city. It is very difficult to say why Rome was planted in the midst of what is now a malarial Campagna. Who can tell why Paris is placed on one bend of the Seine rather than another? Who can say why Berlin should ever have grown up in the midst of a great sandy plain, or why London was put so far away from the ocean in such a miserable climate and apparently in such a disadvantageous position? But when we look at the location of our city, belief and foreordination is easy. The splendid waterways invite the ships of all the world. The bedrock of this island invites us to send these buildings towering towards the sky. The proximity of great fields of coal and iron, of the great inland seas, the salubrious climate, shows that God has marked out this city to be hygienically, commercially, industrially, educationally, religiously, the foremost city that the world has yet seen. But New York, so beautiful for situation, has not yet become the joy of the whole earth. For half a century, this has been the city of the great boss. And if God has been known in her palaces for a refuge, he has been well nigh unknown in her saloons, in her politics, and her tenements. You have all noted the signboards put up on the boulevard a few years ago, on which is printed this legend: "The care of these grounds is committed to the public." The man who put up those signboards must have been of a very confiding disposition. Have we any public in New York that cares whether those grounds are kept beautiful or not? We did not have 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I think there were few people who cared whether that street or any other street was fair and clean and pure and beautiful. Men were bent on making their little pile in this city and retiring as swiftly as possible from active endeavor. And a public spirit 10 years ago was plainly wanting. Thank God that is now rapidly changing. You here tonight can never be as careless as your fathers were regarding the beauty and health and fame of this island. We need today more than anything else a public spirit, a spirit which shall not be content with a good position for self, but shall strive to make this a very city of God for all the people. The greatest need of our city today is a civic pride, a love for the commonweal, an intelligent patriotism, which shall seek to make this a city of homes. Men shall find in every room a sacrament, in every meal a supper of the Lord, and make of the place of merchandise the Father's house. Now, let me say to you here tonight, some of you voters, and some soon to become such, if you love your country and your city, see to it that you vote only for men of upright lives, men of integrity, men who love the city more than they love themselves. Vote for no one else. If you love your city, Mr. Beecher used to say, if you send a villain to Congress to represent you, he does represent you. If you choose evil men, then you are partakers of their evil doing. Let us also be willing to serve ourselves in public office when called upon to do so. I trust that some of you here tonight will be summoned at no distant date to serve this city in some of its many offices. Nearly 40,000 officials are now serving this city, and I trust some of you may be among that 40,000. Resolve as you go into office that you will swerve from your duty and obedience to no man, to no party, and to no private gain. Oliver Cromwell, talking to his fellow countrymen, who loved to think that England was safe because of her separation by the ocean from the continent of Europe, said, "You boast of the great ditch that surrounds your coast. Let me tell you, your ditch will not save you if you break God's law. No bigness of territory will save us, no splendid waterways, no magnificent harvests, no waving of bunting or carrying of flags and processions will save this country from downfall if we break God's law." May I quote from another writer who visited America before most of you were born, who looked at America with the most searching eye that has ever surveyed our condition, de Tocqueville. After he had gone home, he wrote these words, "No philosopher's stone of a constitution can produce golden conduct out of leaden instincts. No apparatus of senators and judges and police can compensate for the want of an internal governing sentiment. No legislative manipulation can eke out an insufficient morality into a sufficient one. No administrative sleight of hand can save us from ourselves." Oh, that we here tonight could realize what that means. This country will never be better than the men who make the country. It will never be better than you and I and the men and women who stand beside us and help us in our life work. If you love your country, stand for the purity and goodness and splendor of the city in which you dwell. One other danger I have to point out tonight, and summon every patriot to stand against it, and that is the danger of reckless, old-world imperialism. We have conquered Spain. The treaty has been ratified. Outlying islands in the Indian Pacific seas have come into our keeping. Now, what are we going to do with them? The supreme question is not, and never has been, shall this country expand? The supreme question is, why shall this country expand? What are we going to do with those possessions? For what purpose shall we enter them? I hear some men saying today in a whisper, and some men even daring to say aloud, "We will do with them just what we please. We are strong enough. We have the army. We have the navy. We will do just what we please." When Talleyrand once heard some men asserting, "You can do anything you please with bayonets," he replied, "Yes, anything you please with bayonets, except to sit on them." The man who tries to sit down upon the fundamental principles of the American Constitution and the principles of the Sermon on the Mount will find himself in a very uncomfortable position. The same thing is true of the nation. Why are we going to enter these outlying possessions? Is it to exploit them for our advantage? Is it to ply the lash a little more cruelly for the sake of utilizing their great resources for our enrichment? Is it to clutch at the revenue of those half-savage and half-barbarous islands that we fill our coffers here, and to utilize that semi-savage labor for the enrichment of our families in America? Then in that case, having conquered Spain, we shall ourselves be conquered by Spanish ideals. And, having sunk the Spanish fleet, we shall have sunk also the fairest hopes and brightest aspirations of the American people. But if we enter those islands to give them all that we have of our freedom, of our self-government, of our schools and libraries and colleges, of our industrial freedom, and a still greater freedom than we yet know in industry, all our best intelligence, education, and liberty, then the old promise shall be verified. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Then this land may become brighter and fairer and nobler than ever in the past. Then the kingdom shall come here with a new, strange splendor, and the will shall be done here as it is in heaven. Oh, you who are just beginning to attain to the estate of citizenship, you who are just coming upon the stage of action at the opening of the 20th century, what a prospect of usefulness, what a possibility of power, what a vista of nobility rises and unfolds before you as you look out. Greater opportunities will come to you than your fathers ever knew if you love your country, if you love the freedom, the enlightenment, the religion for which your country stands. There are two figures guarding the Atlantic coast tonight that I trust may symbolize all the life of our dear country in the century so soon to dawn. In this harbor of New York rises the figure that you have seen on many a night, Liberty, with her uplifted torch, enlightening all the world. And on the Massachusetts coast, in the harbor of Old Plymouth, rises another statue, carved in the whitest of Massachusetts granite, the statue of Faith, looking out with unswerving eyes over the bay into which the Mayflower came, and with silent finger pointing upward unto God. And the light from the Statue of Liberty shines out across land and sea toward the upturned face of faith. And tonight, those two symbolic figures together guard our coast. So long as those figures do guard our shores and truly symbolize our life, this country is safe. So long as we believe in liberty and faith, freedom and religion, and widest possibility for everyone, and utmost allegiance unto our Father's God, this country can never perish. God give us to understand more deeply the meaning of patriotism, and to love our country more deeply and worthily in the years that are to come.